The slave market of Zoroth Station was never quiet. Metal chains clinked softly. Alien voices whispered in strange languages. Some were tall and strong. Some were small and weak. All of them were for sale. People came here not to help. With tired eyes and proud faces. Their skin was pale blue like soft moonlight. Their long ears curved gently back. Thin silver lines ran across their cheeks, marks of their race. They were sisters, not by blood, but by pain. They had been captured from a peaceful world, a world that no longer existed. Buyers stopped in front of their cage. Some smiled with cruel interest. Some spoke about their value. Some only laughed. They are too weak, one said. They will break fast, another replied. The girls heard every word, but they did not cry. They had already cried too much then. The crowd suddenly became quiet. An old human had stopped in front of their cage. He did not wear rich clothes. He had no guards beside him. His hair was white. His face was marked by time. He leaned on a simple metal cane. His eyes were calm. But deep. The market master walked toward him and smiled. Interested, old human? The master asked. These three are rare. Their price is high. The old human said nothing at first. He only looked at the girls, not at their bodies, not at their shapes, but into their eyes. The girls felt something strange. He was not looking at them like property. He was looking at them like people. The master laughed softly. You cannot afford them, he said. The old human slowly raised his head. How much? He asked. The master was surprised. The crowd around them began to whisper. An old human? Buying 3 alien girls? For what? The master named a price. Many gasped. It was a price that only rich traders or powerful nobles could pay. The old human closed his eyes for a moment. Then he nodded. I will pay. Laughter spread through the crowd. He must be crazy. An old man buying 3 useless aliens. He will lose everything. But the old human did not react. He only placed a small black card into the payment device. He smiled darkly. The girls are yours now, he said. The energy cage opened. The girls did not move. They stood frozen. One of them finally spoke in a low voice. What do you want from us, human? The old man looked at her. His voice was quiet. You are free, he said. The words did not make sense to them. Free? The market master laughed loudly. You bought them, he said. They belong to you. The old human turned toward him. No, he replied. I bought their freedom. The market fell silent. People stared. Some were confused. Some were angry. Some were amused. The master's smile disappeared. You cannot free what you buy here, he said coldly. This is Zoroth Station, not your soft human world. The old human's eyes became sharp. Then your station is wrong, he said. The girls looked at him in shock. No one ever spoke like that here. Slowly, he turned back to them. You can leave, he said. Or you can come with me until you decide where to go. The girls did not move. They were afraid. Freedom was a word they had forgotten how to believe. Suddenly, heavy boots echoed across the floor. 2 armed guards approached. The market master smiled again. You cannot just take my merchandise and walk away, he said. Rules are rules. The old human did not step back. Instead, he tapped his cane softly on the floor, and the floor shook. Deep mechanical sound came from beneath. A large armored ship appeared outside the open station gates. Its dark metal body blocked the stars. Weapons slowly powered on. The crowd stepped back in fear. The market master's face turned pale. The old human spoke calmly. I did not come alone. The guards stopped moving. The girls stared at the ship in shock. The old human looked at them again. Come, he said gently. You do not belong here anymore. Slowly, one girl stepped forward, then another, then the third. They walked toward him with unsure steps. As they passed the cage, the girls felt something they had not felt in years. Hope. But far above Zoreth Station, someone was watching, and they were not happy. The old human ship moved silently through space. No loud engines, no flashing lights. Only soft blue glow around its dark body. Inside, everything felt different. The alien girls stood near the entrance of the ship, unsure where to go. Their feet touched the clean metal floor, but their minds were still trapped in the market. They waited for orders. They waited for chains, but none came. The old human slowly walked ahead, leaning on his cane. "This is the living area," he said quietly. "You can rest here." He pointed toward a wide room filled with soft light, warm walls, and seats that looked like clouds. The girls did not move. One of them, the tallest, spoke with a shaking voice. "When will you decide which one of us is yours?" she asked. The old human stopped. He turned to face them. "None of you are mine," he replied calmly. "You belong to yourselves." The words hit them like thunder. Belong to ourselves? They had never heard that before. The smallest girl slowly looked up. "Then, why did you buy us?" she asked. The old human looked away for a moment. "Because I was tired of watching good souls rot in bad places," he said. "No pride, no drama, just truth." The girls stood silent. They followed him deeper into the ship. He showed them clean rooms, each with a bed, warm covers, and small windows showing the stars. "These are yours," he said. "You may lock them if you want." Lock? No one had ever given them doors before. He left them there and walked away without another word. They waited. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. No guards came. No commands were given. Slowly, the girls began to understand something was truly different. Later, a soft bell rang in the ship. A gentle voice spoke. "Food is ready." The girls entered the dining area carefully. A simple table waited there. On it were bowls filled with warm food that smelled rich and sweet. Real food, not scraps, not cold waste. The old human sat at one side. He did not start eating. He waited for them. The girls stood frozen again. In their world, slaves ate after their owners. "Or not at all, please," he said softly. "Sit." Slowly they did. They ate in silence at first. Then one of them began to cry. Not loud. Just quiet tears falling into her bowl. The old human noticed. He stood up and gently placed a small cloth beside her. No touching. No questions. Only respect. That broke them. The other two began to cry too. Years of fear. Years of pain. Years of silence. Now falling freely. Later, when the meal ended, one of the girls finally spoke again. "Why are you alone?" she asked. The old human paused. "My family died long ago," he said. "War does not care about age or kindness." The girls looked at him with new eyes. They were not the only broken ones here. That night, the ship traveled through a dangerous star zone. Outside, blue storms of energy crashed into invisible shields. Inside, alarms began to sound. The girls rushed into the hallway in fear. The old human stood at the control panel calmly. The ship shook hard. Violent force hit them. One of the girls fell. Before she could hit the floor, the old human caught her. He held her firmly but gently. "You are safe," he said. And for the first time, they believed it. Suddenly, another ship appeared behind them. A dark ship. Fast, silent. Unknown. The system voice spoke. Unidentified vessel following. The old human's face became serious. He slowly guided the girls behind him. "Go to the safe room," he said. But one of them tried to speak. "Now," he said calmly. They hesitated. Then obeyed. The ship behind them moved closer. Weapons powered up. The girls watched from the safe room through a small window. The old human's ship did not run. It turned, facing the danger. His voice echoed through the ship. "You will not take them back." A cold alien voice replied. "They belong to the market." The old human's eyes hardened. They belonged to themselves. And then, the first shot was fired. The dark alien ship moved closer, silent, sharp, deadly. Its black surface reflected the cold light of distant stars. It looked like a shadow that had learned how to fly. Inside the human ship, red lights flashed softly. The alien girls stood frozen inside the safe room. They watched through the small window as the old human stood alone at the control panel. His hands were steady. His breathing was calm, but his eyes were no longer gentle. They were sharp. The system voice spoke again. Enemy weapons charging. The girls felt fear return to their hearts. They had been hunted before. They had been captured before. And now it was happening again. One of the girls whispered, "He will die because of us." The old human heard her voice through the ship's speakers. He closed his eyes for a short moment. Then he spoke softly, "No, if someone dies today, it will not be you." The alien ship fired first. A beam of blue fire cut through space. The human ship moved suddenly, not fast, not wild. But smooth. The beam missed by a small distance. The girls gasped. The old human ship did not have heavy weapons like the alien ship. It was smaller, older, but it moved like a living thing. The alien ship turned again, ready to strike. But before it could fire, the human ship disappeared. Not gone, just hidden. A moment later, it reappeared behind the alien ship. The girls stared in shock. How did he do that? One whispered. The old human smiled slightly. "Old tricks," he said quietly. The alien ship tried to escape, but the human ship followed like a silent hunter. The old human activated a strange weapon. It was not loud. It did not shine. Only sent a soft wave into space. The alien ship suddenly lost control. It began to spin slowly. Weapons shut down. Lights went dark. The girls watched in disbelief. He did not destroy the ship. He disabled it. The old human looked at the screen. "Leave." He sent a message to the enemy ship. "Or I will not be kind again." There was no reply. The alien ship slowly turned and flew away. Silence filled space again. Inside the safe room, the girls collapsed to their knees. They were shaking, but alive. Slowly, the old human opened the safe room door. He stood there, tired but calm. The girls looked at him with wide eyes. One of them spoke with a trembling voice. "You could have left us." The old human shook his head. "When humans abandon others," he said, "we become monsters too." They did not fully understand his words, but they felt their meaning. Later, when the danger was gone, one of the girls asked, "How do you fight like that?" The old human sat down slowly. "My name is Elias," he said. "Once, long ago, I was a commander in the human defense fleet." The girls stared at him. "A commander?" "This ship is old," he continued, "because I left war behind. But war did not leave the galaxy." He looked at the stars outside. "I promised myself never to fight again, unless someone forced me to choose." The girls understood. He chose them. That night, the girls could not sleep, not because of fear, but because of something new. Respect. They no longer saw him as only a kind old man. They saw him as a protector, a human who stood between them and the darkness, but far away. In a silent and powerful station, a message was received. "The human escaped. He is dangerous. Do not underestimate him again." A tall alien figure turned slowly in the dark. Then, the figure said coldly, "We will not chase him with hunters anymore." The figure smiled. "We will hunt him with laws and lies." The human ship left the battle zone behind. No alarms, no enemies, only quiet space and slow-moving stars. Inside the ship, everything felt calm, but calm was strange for the alien girls. They were used to noise, to shouting, to fear. Now there was only silence. The old human, Elias, guided the ship toward a small, blue-green planet. "It is not famous," he said gently, "but it is safe." The ship landed near a quiet lake, surrounded by tall silver trees. Soft light from two suns touched the water. The girls stepped out slowly. Fresh air filled their lungs. One of them whispered, "I forgot how clean air feels." They stood still. For a long moment, not running, not hiding. Just breathing. Elias watched them from a distance. He did not rush them. He did not guide their steps. He simply allowed them to exist freely. Later, they sat near the water. Small waves touched the shore softly. One of the girls placed her hand in the lake. She smiled for the first time. Real smile. They began to talk, not about escape, not about danger. But about small things. The color of the sky, the shape of the clouds, the strange birds flying above them. Simple things, human things. Then one of the girls grew quiet. She looked at Elias and spoke softly. "Do humans always help strangers?" Elias paused. "Not always," he said honestly. "But we try when we remember who we are." She nodded slowly. Another girl asked, "Why did you really save us?" Elias looked at the water. His voice became low. "Because long ago," he said, "I watched someone like you disappear. And I did nothing." The girls listened carefully. "I was young," he continued. "I followed orders. I told myself it was not my problem." He closed his eyes, but the face of that child never left me. The girls did not speak. They finally understood. He was not just saving them. He was saving himself too. That night, they made a small fire. The alien girl sat close to it, watching the flames dance. Fire was forbidden in the slave markets. Here. It was beautiful. One of them asked quietly, "What happens now?" Elias smiled gently. "Now? You live," he said. "But living is not easy after chains," he added. "You will feel fear, even when you are safe. That is normal." The girls felt relief hearing that. They were not broken. They were healing. Days passed. They stayed on the planet for a short time. The girls began to walk freely. They learned to choose where to go. They laughed. They argued. They shared food. They became real again. Not property. Not victims. People. One day, one of the girls fell sick. Her body grew weak. Her skin lost its glow. The others panicked. They thought they were losing her. Elias did not panic. He carried her gently back to the ship. He stayed by her side for hours. He did not sleep. He did not leave. When she finally opened her eyes, she saw him sitting there. "You stayed," she whispered. Elias smiled tiredly. "Of course," he replied. "That is what family does." Family. The word shocked them. No one had called them that before. That night, the three girls spoke quietly among themselves. "He is different," one sighed. "He does not own us," another replied. "But he belongs with us," the third whispered. Something was changing, not just in their lives, but in their hearts. Far away, deep in space, the tall alien figure watched reports silently. "This human is not just a fighter," the figure said. "He is dangerous in another way." "How?" a servant asked. "He teaches slaves to become free beings," the figure replied coldly. "That is more dangerous than weapons." Time moved differently on the human ship. Days were no longer counted by fear, but by peace. The alien girls were no longer silent shadows walking behind Elias. They walked beside him now. They spoke freely. They laughed freely. They chose freely, and that was new. One morning, Elias found them standing at the control window, watching stars flow like rivers of light. "What do you see?" he asked. One of them smiled. "A future," she replied. The word surprised him. For a long time he had lived only in the past. Slowly, small things began to change. One of the girls started bringing him warm drinks when he worked late. Another repaired his old uniform quietly. The third often sat beside him in silence, not speaking, but staying, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Elias noticed, but he said nothing. He feared misunderstanding, kindness for something more. He feared breaking the freedom he had given them. One night, the ship passed through a field of golden stars. Soft light filled every room. It was beautiful. The girls stood quietly, watching the light touch their hands and faces. One of them suddenly asked, "Do humans fear growing old?" Elias smiled sadly. "Yes," he replied, "because time takes more than it gives." The girl looked at him gently. "But time also gives meaning," she said. He did not answer, but her words stayed in his heart. Later, a small storm hit the ship. Not dangerous, just strong enough to make the ship shake. The girls gathered in the main room. Instinctively, they sat near Elias. Not behind him, not away from him. Near him. One of them held his hand. He froze. Then slowly, he did not pull it away. The storm passed, but something else remained. Silence filled the room. Not heavy. Not uncomfortable. Just deep. Elias looked at them. "You are free," he said softly. "You do not need to stay with me." One of the girls smiled. "We know," she replied. "That is why we are here." That night, Elias could not sleep. He walked through the ship alone, for the first time in many years. He felt afraid again, not of enemies, not of death, but of love, because love meant loss, and he had lost too. Much before days passed, the girls began learning about human culture, music, stories, old films. They laughed at strange human jokes. They cried at sad endings. One of them asked, "Do humans only love once?" Elias thought for a moment. "Sometimes once," he said. "Sometimes never, sometimes more than once, if the heart survives." She nodded slowly, then quietly said, "Your heart survived." The words struck him deeply. One evening, as stars passed silently outside, one of the girls stood before him. She looked nervous, but strong. "You saved our lives," she said. "But you never asked what we want." Elias met her eyes. "What do you want?" he asked gently. She did not answer right away. Then she said, "We want to stay. Not because we are afraid to leave, but because we choose you." Elias felt his breath stop. He searched their faces. No fear, no chains, no obligation. Only choice. He spoke slowly. "I am old," he said. "My time is not long like yours." One of them smiled. "But your heart is," she replied. That night, Elias finally understood something important. He did not just free them from chains. They freed him from loneliness, but far away. The galaxy was not silent. A message spread quietly across star systems. Human buys slaves and keeps them. Human violates galactic moral law. Human must be judged. And once again, dark forces began to move. The message reached the human ship while it was traveling through a quiet star lane. A cold mechanical voice spoke. "Elias Vorn, you are ordered to appear before the Galactic Council. You are accused of illegal slave ownership and emotional manipulation." The alien girls felt their hearts drop. Elias stood still for a long moment. Then he slowly nodded. "So it begins," he said calmly. The girls surrounded him. "We will go with you," one said. Elias shook his head gently. "They will use you against me," he replied. "This fight must be mine." But the girls did not step back. "Then we will stand behind you," another said. "Not as slaves, but as witnesses." The human ship changed its course, toward the center of the galaxy, toward judgment. The Galactic Council Hall was massive. Floating platforms circled a bright white core. Aliens of every shape and size sat on high seats of power. Cold eyes watched as Elias entered. The three alien girls walked beside him. Not chained. Not forced. Free. A tall alien judge spoke first. "Human," it said, "you are accused of buying slaves and keeping them for personal use." Murmurs filled the hall. Elias did not bow. He did not shout. He spoke calmly. "I bought them," he said, "to free them." A sharp voice replied, "You paid for them. That makes them yours." One of the girls stepped forward suddenly. "We were his only until he freed us," she said clearly. Now we are his only because we choose to be. The hall fell silent. Another judge spoke. You are emotionally bound to this human, it said. Your choice is not pure. The girl lifted her head. Neither is your law, she replied. Wave of whispers moved across the council. Elias slowly raised his voice again. You built a galaxy where selling life is legal, he said, but loving freely is a crime. The judges grew uneasy. One shouted, You broke the market system. Elias replied, Then the system deserved to be broken. A hologram appeared. Images of the slave market, chains, cages, children. Elias spoke quietly. You call that order? I call it cruelty. Silence spread across the hall. Then something unexpected happened. Another alien rose from the council. Old, gray-skinned, tired eyes. I once walked those markets, the alien said. I did nothing. It looked at Elias. You did. The hall exploded into noise. Some shouted in support, some in anger. The head judge raised its staff. This court must decide, it said, if love born from purchase is crime or redemption. The girl stood beside Elias. Not afraid, not weak. Proud. After a long pause, the head judge spoke. This human did not buy slaves to own, it said. He bought them to end their chains. Gasps filled the hall. By galactic moral law, the judge continued, the human is cleared of all charges. A shock passed through the council. Elias closed his eyes slowly. The girls held his hands, but the judge was not finished. However, it added, this changes everything. It looked across the hall. From this day, no being shall be sold without consent. The galaxy was shaken, not by a war, but by one human's choice. Far away, slave markets began to close. Chains began to fall, not because of weapons, but because of courage. The galaxy did not change in one day, but it began to change. Slave markets closed one by one. Old laws were questioned. New voices were heard. And in the middle of all this, Elias returned to his ship, not as an accused man, but as a symbol. The alien girls stood with him on the bridge. For the first time, they were not afraid of the future. They were part of it. The ship traveled slowly toward a quiet world near the edge of human space, a small green planet with wide oceans and soft skies. This is Earth, Elias said gently. The girls looked through the window. They saw blue water, white clouds, green lands. One of them whispered, it is beautiful. Elias smiled. So are you, he replied softly. They landed near a peaceful valley. No crowds, no reporters, no soldiers, only nature and wind. Here, there were no titles. No master, no slave, only people. They built a small home near a river. Simple, quiet, warm. Elias learned to live slowly again. He cooked. He gardened. He laughed more. The girls learned about Earth. They walked barefoot on grass. They touched rain for the first time. They watched sunsets in silence. One evening, as the sky turned gold and red, Elias stood near the river. The girls walked toward him. He looked nervous, a feeling he had not felt in many years. I never planned this, Elias said quietly. I only wanted to save you. One of the girls smiled. And we never planned to love you, she replied. But here we are. He looked at them. His voice was soft. I am old, he said. My life is shorter than yours. One of them took his hand. But our love is not measured in years, she said. It is measured in truth. The river flowed quietly beside them. The world seemed to pause. Elias slowly went down on one knee, not because of tradition, but because of respect. Will you walk with me, he asked, not as someone I saved, but as someone who chose me. Tears filled their eyes. Yes, they said together. The wedding was simple. No grand hall, no powerful guests, only a few human friends, a few free aliens, and 3 alien girls. Now 3 brides, They wore simple white cloth with silver lines. Elias stood beside them, smiling like a young man again. When the ceremony ended, the wind moved gently through the trees. And for the first time, the galaxy saw a human not as a conqueror, not as a warrior, but as a husband. Years passed. Elias grew older, but he never grew lonely again. The girls stood by him. They learned from him, and he learned from them. They traveled across the stars, not to fight, but to teach. They spoke in many worlds. They told others, freedom is not given by power. It is given by choice. And everywhere they went, people remembered one truth. Humans are not feared because they destroy worlds. Humans are feared because they change them. One quiet night, Elias sat under the stars, his hair fully white now, his face full of lines, but his eyes still strong. One of his wives sat beside him. "Do you regret buying us that day?" she asked gently. Elias smiled. "I did not buy you," he replied. "I found you." The stars shined softly above them. And somewhere in the galaxy, a child was born free, because one old human once chose kindness instead of silence.